Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Dave Nudo Jam Sessions. We'll do a little bit something different this time, where I don't know any of Tony's songs here, and he doesn't play the songs as much as I think he should. But anyway, this here is my friend Tony Olson. He's an author and a songwriter, and so let me just ask you this, bud. When did you get into songwriting?
Well, I actually I wrote some music back when I was about 17, 18, 19 in there, and when I was in when I went to move to Salem, Oregon in '77, and it kind of slowed down my progression on that. But I was at a party one night, and now obviously this is before your time, but there was Marv and Randy Ross were at this party, who were the lead singer and the lead guitar player for Quarterflash. And at that time, that was right before they had the hit "Harden My Heart."
All right.
And so I was playing a couple of my original songs for Marv, and Marv said, you know, you need to get these recorded. And unfortunately, I was starting out in a banking career, and I was, not making any money. I was living off of Campbell's soup and everything like that, so I couldn't afford to get a demo made. But that always stuck with me, and I kind of put songwriting aside for about 38 years while I went through my banking career. But in the back of my mind, I always wondered if I could maybe write with the big guys, and so about 6.5 years ago,
right around the time you and I met.
That's the time when we met on the show.
That's right.
And so you had been kind enough to rewrite a little piece of your music for me for a song I did for veterans called "In the Name of Freedom." And that song kind of took off over on the East Coast, and so got a lot of TV play on the East Coast. And you were the one that said, hey, you need to go do some more music, and if you get it recorded, you need to go to Nashville. So you had the guy that produced your music, Kenny Royster, who was the same gentleman that produced Hurricane for Luke Combs.
Absolutely. Yep.
And so I called Kenny and I said, Kenny, I would really like to get some demos done in Nashville, and I'm a friend of Dave Nudo's, and I would like to go back there, but I don't know who to go to. And he said that you were a great guy, and unfortunately Kenny didn't have an opening in his schedule until the end of October. This was in March, or excuse me, till the end of August, and this was in March. So I thought, man, I want to get them recorded ideally end of May, first part of June if I could. So I called a friend of mine who worked for Blake Shelton, and I said, hey, Jeff, I need to get some demos made, and I'm afraid I don't know anybody. I've never been to Nashville. I don't want to get taken to the cleaners. Can you guide me in the right direction? And he said, well, I do tour work. Jeff's won 2 CMA awards for sound engineering. But he said he does tour stuff. He doesn't do studio stuff. So he says, I'll ask around and see if anybody can give me some advice. So the next day, Blake Shelton's band leader calls me and says, I understand you need some demos done. And I said, yeah. And he said, well, when are you going to be in town? And I said, well, I'm trying to fix it for the end of May, first part of June. He said, well, can you record either the 30th or the 31st of May? And I said, sure, that fits in my time frame. And he says, well, if you can do one of those 2 days, he says, we'll do your demos for you.
Nice.
And I said, you mean I can get a couple of Blake's guys on my demo? He said, no, you can get the whole band.
Oh,
and I'm
cool.
like, I said, well, what's that going to cost me? And he said, well, you're a friend of Jeff's. We'll do it for whatever the going rate is. So that's how this whole thing started. The stars just lined up. And so I ended up, when I called for vocalists and producers, I got a hold of Dave DeMay, who happened to own Song City Studios, who also happened to be the winner of Star Search. So he's kind of the original American Idol. He's been my producer ever since. I've done about 13 recordings now with Blake Shelton's band.
I did some work with Dave DeMay too.
That's right.
On a duet with
You
Dusty
did.
Lee.
Yeah, you
Christmas
guys recorded
song
my Christmas song.
that you wrote. Yeah, it's a good song.
And so anyway, I had 3 people from The Voice that ended up doing my vocals, which I don't sing, by the way. Let's go on record here, I don't sing. And but I do have people that know how to sing that do that for me. And that's just kind of how it all took off. And so literally about 6.5 years ago, I got back into it and said, hey, let's do it.
Right on. All right. So all of that being said, what kind of music do you write primarily, and do you stretch out beyond your primary? genre?
You know, I write everything, and that's a beautiful part of not being able to sing, is that I can write anything and be comfortable. It gives me a lot of freedom in my compositions because I'm not writing for myself.
Right.
Most songwriters write for themselves, so they kind of stay a little bit in a box in there, and I don't have that. So I write female music, I write male music. So far, I've written, I've won awards in 7 different categories of music. And so I think that's my biggest asset, is because I'm not trying to fit into a box. I just turn loose and go.
Absolutely.
With whatever I got.
Right on. So as a songwriter, what's your biggest attribute when it comes to songwriting?
Not being able to sing.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
How about that?
No, I mean, it sounds.
That makes perfect sense.
It sounds like a joke, but honest to God, it's the truth. If I don't rely on my singing, so if I'm not singing, I can write. So whatever you bring me, I can write. You bring me rap, I'll write rap. You bring me reggae, I'll write reggae.
Right.
So whatever you bring me, I'll write.
And I've written songs for other people as well, but I'm locked into what I think it should sound like, and what genre I think it belongs in, and that's got me strapped down a little bit. But you're way freer without having to consider yourself in the
And it's worked out well, and so I've recorded songs in 8 different genres so far, and May 20th we're recording again in Nashville, and I've got 3 more genres that I'm recording. I'm doing a jazz song, I'm doing a trop rock song, and I'm doing a kind of I guess you would call it a novelty Christmas type song in there. So awesome. It'll be a fun group of songs, and still got an A-list group of musicians and singers that we're using, so it'll be good.
Yeah. Well, I've heard most of your demos, and they always pick top-notch players and singers on them things, man. Hey, okay, so you mentioned a little bit ago that you've won 7 awards, and you're up for another one, right? It is Male Songwriter of the Year.
Yep.
This year. And you won it in 2021.
I won it in 2021, and then the way the rules work is that once you win it, you have to judge for 2 years. So I spent the last 2 years judging. So I'm finally eligible again. So now I'm up for the award again, as are you, by the way.
Yes, I am.
And I might, by the way, Dave is nominated in 6 categories for the International Singer-Songwriter Awards this year. So
very true.
When you get to the point of maybe we can get you to vote today, vote for this guy too.
Vote for me, everybody, and Tony. All right, so so you won that award in 2021. You're up for it again, but you spent and this is the International Songwriters Association, right?
International Singer-Songwriters Association.
ISSA, as we all lovingly call it. Anyway, so you were part of the panel and for judging and voting and all of that stuff.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that process.
Well, the judging process, I spent roughly about 300 hours the last 2 years, each year, in the judging process, and it's tedious. I mean, it takes time, but these people deserve it. I mean, these people are putting their heart and soul in their music, and the least I can do is put enough time in there to give them a fair shake and listen to their music, and some of it is not that good, and some of it's extremely good.
Right.
But they deserve it. They deserve to be listened to, because you got people, they're trying to get better, they're working on it. Anything I can do to help them, and and I actually took I recorded a song this last year with an artist in Britain by the name of Ewelina Borkowska, who is she's a Polish immigrant that lives in the UK now. And when I was judging her music a couple of years ago, she had a song called Voices, and I asked her if I could rewrite the lyrics to it and do kind of a jumped up Nashville version of that song. And that song took off for her, and this year it's actually nominated for International Female Single of the Year in the ISSA Awards also. And her career has really taken off. She's really doing well. It's such a, I feel like a proud papa watching these guys take off and their careers do well and everything like that, the people who can actually sing.
Right.
And excuse me. So it's just been a fun. It's just been a fun adventure. The whole songwriting thing. The people are really nice. The people in Nashville are great. The artists are great. What you see with most of these artists is what you get when you talk to them. They're great.
Just people.
Yeah.
People doing what they do.
I mean, they the saying says, people, they put their pants on the same way we do.
Right.
One thing I did notice, though, they do have nicer pants than I do. So.
Nicer than my pants.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. So, okay, also you're an author as well. You wrote a book a while back.
I did, and it had some success. It was in Amazon. I got up to #2 on Amazon.
Nice.
And but it was a political book, and that tends to divide your fan base a little bit.
Absolutely.
So music is a lot safer.
Yeah. So I stay out of politics anymore. I don't even talk about it.
So I'm sticking with music right now.
Yeah,
they want me to write a couple more books, and I'm like, nah. I'm going to stick with music because it's safer and
sure.
And I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
a great industry.
It's pretty therapeutic to sit down with a pen and paper and a melody in mind and just put the puzzle pieces together.
It does.
So I know what you're talking about there. So I got a couple more questions. I think everybody, all of our viewers here, are dying to know your opinion on this. Boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
Cool. Gotcha.
That's my brief answer.
Any specific color? Never mind that. Save that for episode 2. Well, I guess my last question for you, Tony, is there anything that you can think of that I haven't asked you already that you wish I would?
Well, one thing that we really like, and the reason, that kind of spurred this whole thing is we've got, as of this taping date, we've got 3 more weeks for fan voting. And the way that the voting works is right now in the songwriting category, for example, there's 124 nominees in that category. 30 of them make it to the finals. And those people, once you make it to the finals, you have a team of about 60 judges that judge your block of music or single or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Dave, by the way, has a single that's nominated for Male Single of the Year called The Cold Side of the Bed, which is about a guy whose furnace goes out. And so, not really.
That's a Dusty Lee duet. That's what I did with Dusty Lee. And I'm excited about it.
So once you get into that 30, that's where you get the judges judging your stuff. But you've got to get there. And in order to get there, you need fan votes. And as a songwriter, I don't have a big fan base, so I need votes. And as many votes as I can get, as many votes as Dave can get to get into these finals. Once we get there, I think we'll do okay. We just got to get there.
Sure.
And so we're going to put down how you can go to the voting platform and vote, and we'll walk you through it. There'll be instructions on how to walk through that voting platform. You can vote once a day per device through April the 30th.
However many devices you have.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can vote on all of them separately.
Yeah. So
every day.
Vote often, and we need your votes. And other than that, I'm just, Weiser's my home, so I'm coming back to the Weiser people to say, hey, I need your help, folks. And once we get it there, my bucket list, my goal would be to win Songwriter of the Year, be the first person to ever win it twice.
That'd be great.
And that would be extremely cool.
Absolutely.
That would be a bucket list item for sure.
I'd even be prouder of you. Well, it looks like we got to wrap it up here pretty quick. So,
all right.
Tony Olson, I want to thank you for your time coming down and talking with me. I want to thank all of you guys for checking it out and tuning in to Dave Nudo Jam Sessions. We'll see you next time.